G'day Steve, mate. Thanks again for your time the other night. Just doing a follow-up video to reinforce some of the fundamentals that we spoke about. It was great to have a chat to sort of get a feel for where you're at. And yes, there's a lot of work to do, changing a few things about how you self-treat and how you apply pressure, and your positioning is going to lead to you being in much better condition in a really short time, I'm sure. So just going through those key fundamental rules. Rule number 1, position, placement, pressure and progression. Rule number 2, nature and behaviour. Rule number 3, applying the perfect amount of pressure to the exact position every single time. And rule number 4, not creating tension to relieve tension. Now, based on your current situation, we focused mostly on releasing off your glute 1, glute 2, lateral hip, lateral quad, and I showed you a funky quad activity, which they're going to be your absolute keys. Spend the next few days just getting those things right, which will then help us move forward. I'm going to show you put another part to this video where I want you to start to be able to identify your pelvic position and how you actually sit, because that's going to translate again into everything that you do, both now and in 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, 20 years. Okay, so let's get those things right and let's get you on the track, habit building, thought process changing. Let's get you really smoking in this next 21 days. So, mate, number 1, the glute 1 release. So, utilizing the body spanner in the sidecar configuration, what we're going to do here is remembering glutes, position, placement, pressure and progression. For the glute sequence, position, lay flat on your back, knees bent up, feet flat on the ground. Placement, 2 large balls, sit high in the glutes, so just right deep into the glutes. That's position. Placement, pressure for glute 1 is cross the left leg over the right, and progression is drop a little bit of body weight out to that side. Find an area that's tight and tender. Let your body rest and relax. This is where you get to name the sensation. So coming into rule number 2, you're thinking about on the left-hand side, even though you'll do both sides, even though your right side is probably more problematic. You want to name that pain. So rule number 2, nature and behavior. The nature is, what does it feel like? This is not my pain, this is your pain. So you get to name it. Is it sharp, shooty, tingly, burny, achy, pressure? You tell me what it feels like. Once you've named it, feel how it changes or how it behaves. What does it do? Does it ease away quickly? Does it stay the same? Does it send pain elsewhere? So does pain or the symptom number 1, does that cause symptom number 2 or something else to light up, or does this refer somewhere else? So you're feeling for these things all the time. Once this pressure becomes, or this symptom becomes about half of where you started, just drop that little bit more body weight out to the side, or have a slight lateral glide. Oof. And find the next thing. Remember, we're talking fibre by fibre. We're not just rolling around indiscriminately, we're hunting fibre by fibre. That's glute 1. So glute 2, really simple. Float that leg down to the inside of the opposite foot. I typically put this foot on top of my left, and you should feel that sink deeper into your glutes, so hitting your deeper hip rotators. Rule number 3 is about applying the perfect amount of pressure. So if I open this top leg up, it will deload my left glute. If I bring this one across, it will load it up. So again, perfect pressure is all about how we spoke about seeing a practitioner who goes too hard and it evokes a pain withdrawal reflex, and you tense up and fight them, or they're not going hard enough and you're sort of thinking, oh mate, you can go a bit harder, or alternately they're working in a good spot, you're like, oh wow, that feels amazing, and then they move away and they're just a millimeter off it, and you know it's just back where they were, but you don't often tell them. So again, with rule number 3 about applying the perfect amount of pressure in the exact spot every time, means you can be so specifically targeted to the tissue that needs the attention every single time that you'll get so much work done in a short period of time. So it's really important to be very aware of that, really honing in on the exact position and just modulating the body position to apply just the perfect amount of pressure every time. Feel how it feels, feel how it changes. Now in glute 2, if you notice that the bum starts to come off here, all you do is wedge that hand in, and that just helps follow along and helps with just delivering that sort of balance point. Also, when you choose to glide to go a little more laterally, this hand acts like a bit of a brake on the big ball. And all you're doing there is just constantly hunting, find that spot, feel how it feels, feel how it behaves. If you wanted to intensify this position, this is where we introduce a longitudinal oscillation. So just a longitudinal body rock, and that's going to create some friction movement in there as well, which will just intensify that release point. But oof. Okay, so that's glute number 2. Glute 3. This is where you put the medium ball in the end of the shaft. Laying on our side, knees slightly bent. We find the top of the hip, about 6 inches underneath. There's another bony prominence there in the top of the thigh on the outside. So we're basically going smack bang in the middle. Now with this one, you can come in from the front or you can come in from the back. Depending on which direction that you come in, will determine the angular pressure that you deliver. So they feel a bit different. So just experiment with that. Simple way to get into here: pop this leg up, lift the hip up, boom, place it in, lower the body back down, and boom, there we are. Try and keep the head neutral, rest the head on the arms. Now again, as for applying perfect pressure, let this knee rock back, pull forward, find that time, that fibre, and essentially we're trying to work our way all the way where our knees are stacked. And we're hitting nice and deep into that lateral hip. Okay, beautiful. The fourth component to the hip sequence is that same position, and we just hit that lateral quad. So again, that bony spot we've got on the top of the hip here, to the lateral portion of the knee. It's really along that IT band. But I think as we spoke about, let's break up that component into fifths. So forget the bottom fifth, forget the top fifth, just work in that mid 3/5 smack bang the lateral part of the quad. Bring some weight forward from your hip, feel how it feels, feel how it changes. Okay, so this can often send pain into the knee, it can send pain into the shin, you can do all this crazy stuff. You'll actually sort of hit a spot and you'll probably feel it start to vibrate and then just ease away. So again, we're looking to feel that absolute melting moment, which is, that's where the magic happens. The other thing we sort of looked at as well was the quads. Now, for you, I created, we did this modified. Now this is brilliant for your quad. So basically, small ball, large ball, pins are flush with the outside of the shaft. We'll start this one with a bit of a straighter leg. Now, again, from the top of the kneecap, if you were to take a line between the mid portion of the two balls, that would correlate with a spot 2 to 2.5 centimeters above the top of the kneecap. Now, just using the hands, roll the balls down, you'll feel it pick the quad up. The thumbs then go inside between the steel of the shaft of the ball and the quad. Pick the quad up, pick the shaft up, and well, create your release pressure. Now, remembering the inside hand can be static and the outside hand can move and roll, just micro movements. Outside one, stabilize that, move the inside one. You've got some torsion you can give there in each direction, so both balls can stay static. You can create a twist or a rotation, or you can move one, pivot around the other. Again, small movements, take your time. And then we can use that same configuration into the calf. Now remembering we're looking at the inside and outside border of the tibia. One will be on the outside, one will be on the inside, deep into the calves, and we just roll up. Again, stabilize one, pivot around that with the other. You can work both. You can create torsion and twist and just gentle movements, but again, it's all very mindful. Now, the other thing with the ball, the other component I'm sending you, you've got this adapter pin. So essentially what that will allow you to do is, depending on the size of the quads, size of calves, the position that you want to get into, that will then allow you to, there we go, boom, boom, make it double big, or make a double medium. So this becomes really good when if you're in between size for that calf or the quad, or you want to sort of open them up really a little wider. Actually, I'll keep on there. And then sort of try and really hit that medial part of the quad. Ooh, and get some adductor stuff as well. Just hold that. Okay. Cool, mate. The other thing, the reason that came off because these just then that doesn't have clips. So this is actually a pin that doesn't have any clips on it. So sort of the beauty of the system. The other thing I want you to think about as well is, we'll touch on this when I speak to you next also. I want you to think about your pelvic position. So when you're sitting, sit with your feet flat on the ground, hips and knees about 90 degrees, and I want you to go through a bit of a scenario. Now, again, admittedly, I don't have my feet on the ground, but I want you to sit and I want you to wiggle around. It means you've got to put both hands under your bum, wiggle around and look for these two bony prominences that you've got in the glutes called your ischial tuberosities. So they're really important. They're like your sit bones. So I want you just to find them, hump them, try and sit on the apex, get equal weight bearing left and right. Once you've got that, slouch. What you'll feel is you'll roll off the back. I want you then to work your way back up, find them again. And then I want you to try and just sit up tall through your chest, like someone says, Steve, you're slouching, sit up. So most people, when they sit up tall, will sit up through their chest, and you'll feel you'll increase the arch here and you'll roll off the front. Don't worry about this too much. I just want you to be able to isolate sitting on the apex, slouching where you roll off the back, up on the apex, and then also rolling to the front of those. Okay, just have a play with that, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Okay, so that becomes a really important component to the pelvic anchors that we're going to talk about when I speak to you next. All right, mate, over and out. I'll talk to you in a couple of days. I'll message you later, and hope you're well, and looking forward to seeing you just kick some big goals. All right, cheers, mate. See you soon.